So last week we talked about what a loaded weekend Alabama was set to have in terms of recruiting, and today they add in their second top 10 player in the class of 2023. As five-star edge, the number one edge in the nation in the class of 2023, Keon Keeley has committed to Alabama. Today, we need to break this down. We need to talk about why this is such a big win, and then we need to talk about some names that Alabama could turn to next. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you surprised that Keeley chose Alabama? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions are massive to content creators such as myself, in both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And the Alabama Crimson Tide are recruiting very well for a team that so many around the nation seem to think is set to fall off. Alabama remains the number one recruiting class in the nation and adds in their second top 10 player in the nation in Keon Keeley to go along with Caleb Downs, who is tremendously talented. And I've been saying forever, personally, I think he's a top 5 player. I think he's that good. Keon Keeley has every argument to be right there alongside with him. Keeley is a huge win for the Alabama Crimson Tide. He stands 6'6", 242 pounds, and is the number 3 player in the state of Florida. Alabama remains strong in recruiting top talent out the state of Florida. That doesn't look to change anytime soon, and look at the hires they've made. It really makes sense. But this is a huge win for Robert Gillespie and Coleman Hutzler. Keon Keeley is stepping into one of, if not the most loaded room in all of college football. Let's take a look at this edge rush room, and let's assume Will Anderson isn't going to be there next year because, let's be very honest, he's probably the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. At the very least, he's a top 3 pick in the NFL draft, depending on team need and who's drafting where. So it's safe to say Will Anderson's probably headed to the NFL draft. But even then, that room is loaded with 5-star talent. Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell, then after that you have Jeremiah Alexander, and depending on where they want to put Jahad Campbell, whether he wants to play edge, outside linebacker, or inside linebacker, Keon Keeley could be the 5th 5-star in that room without counting Will Anderson. That is how loaded that room is. That is how well Alabama has recruited that edge position. And when we look at the production on their defense, it makes complete sense whenever we see the production Dallas Turner was able to generate as a freshman and into his sophomore year. It leaves a lot of people wondering what he's going to be able to do his junior year. Adding in a guy such as Keon Keeley to pair into that room, to go along with Braswell, to go along with Alexander, and to go along with Campbell, that room is going to be a ton of fun to watch, and I can't wait to see what they all do. But Keeley is a dude that could step into any college campus in the nation and contribute year one, and nobody in the industry would bat an eyelash. Turn on the film and there's a ton to love. Not only will he straight up overpower dudes, he's got pass rush moves and legit pass rush moves. He has got a ton of ways to beat opponents, and he goes against a lot of talented guys and beats them handedly. I'm very excited to see how he transitions to the Alabama Crimson Tide, and I know Alabama, Nick Saban, and Alabama fans are extremely excited, as this increases their lead as the number 1 recruiting class in the nation. And where could Alabama turn to next? Well, there's been a lot of talk about the Crimson Tide trying to flip 5-star cornerback Cormani McClain, current Miami Hurricanes commit. Whether that happens remains to be seen, but if they were able to successfully do that, this DB class for the Crimson Tide would be the best I've seen in a really long time. You'd have 2 5-star cornerbacks, you'd have 2 5-star safeties. What more could you ask for? Now, the 2 guys that I'm most interested in for Alabama moving forward are James Smith and Quay Rusaw, so probably not breaking news there. But Alabama needs that physical interior presence, and James Smith is a dude. The Crimson Tide lost out on Peter Woods. Hopefully they can make up some ground there. But as we sit here and talk, he is a Clemson Tigers commit, and Alabama needs to focus their resources on James Smith. That way they don't go 0 for 2 on the 5-star interior defensive lineman in their state, because a ton of other schools are after James Smith, and it is imperative that Alabama lands him so that they remain strong on that interior defensive line. Going into next year, Jaheim Otis is a guy. I cannot wait to see how he continues to develop. But the Crimson Tide needs to maintain that strong interior if they want to maximize those edge rush guys. Dallas Turner, Braswell, Keeley, Alexander, and Campbell, they have all the ability in the world. But if offenses aren't really scared of the Alabama Crimson Tide interior, they're going to have a much easier time stopping the exterior guys. So the Crimson Tide must maintain a strong interior presence. James Smith and Quay Rousseau, those are two guys that are must-get for Alabama moving forward. But I kind of started this video off by talking about how the Alabama Crimson Tide are recruiting very well for a team that's supposedly fallen off, and this is something that we see anytime the Crimson Tide have a quote-unquote down year. And if you listen to the naysayers around college football, they'll have you think that a lost national championship and 2 losses the next season signifies the death of a college football team. Whenever, if you were to poll the vast majority of college football, scratch vast majority, if you were to poll the 99% of college football, they would take those results without question, because the majority of college football has never even sniffed a playoff game. Alabama is coming off of 3 losses in a 2-season span. That's very impressive, no matter how you slice it. Was this team talented? No doubt about it. Was this the season so many expected? No, it was not. All things can be true, but to think that Alabama is no longer the standard in college football is facetious. And that's not a shot at Georgia. Georgia is doing something incredible. Kirby Smart and the Dogs deserve all of the respect, the love, and admiration they're getting. But let's not forget who the standard in college football is. Alabama has been on top of college football for over a decade, and right now Georgia is doing something incredible, and it deserves our respect. But you have got to show me that Alabama is done before I just sit here and say they are done. Because if they keep recruiting like this, I don't know how anybody can claim they're done. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking, not only about Keon Keeley committing to Alabama, let me know what you're thinking about the top targets remaining on the board for the Crimson Tide, and how you view the Crimson Tide moving into next season. That's it. See ya.